The story starts in the middle of a fierce fight, where we see Wang Yinju standing ready to face Jigsufu. The young man, looking totally relaxed, climbed the stairs past his samurai opponent. In the meantime, the girl with yellow eyes thinks to herself just how strong that boy seems. The crowd gasped in shock as the young man became the first player to beat Valkyrie since the game started. Just as she prepares to strike, the white-haired girl narrows her eyes and unleashes her ultimate move, driving her fans into a wild frenzy with her blade flower spear. Shining blue blades rush at Wang, but he just gives a quiet smirk before soaring forward to meet them head-on. The young man twists and turns with perfect focus, slipping past each deadly blade. The items slide right through his body, missing his clothes, leaving his opponent with wide, shocked eyes while the crowd wonders just how that happened. To everyone's great surprise, the young man somehow caught one of the flying blades. Ben steps up behind the girl who just attacked and uses her own weapon to stop her. With the fight done, Wang is called the winner, and the crowd cheers wildly for his triumph. With confetti raining down, the young man smiles as he gets ready to take his trophy. The girl he just beat hands him the prize, grinning as she calls him a true hero. We are whisked away to the boy's house, where he stands before his computer, beaming with joy because Jigsufu is finally a character he can capture, making her his official romantic partner. Suddenly, a message popped up on his screen, catching him completely off guard. Frustrated that something is blocking him from taking his trophy, he angrily balls up his hand. To fix the trouble, Juan clicks the yes button, but that makes question marks pop all over his PC screen. Suddenly, a gloved hand bursts out of the screen, followed by Jigsufu, who fully emerges and bathes the room in blue light. It turns out Wang took a hard fall right then, but he managed to open his eyes while lying on the floor. Standing right before him is the yellow-eyed girl, and in his desperation, he begs her to explain what is happening. The girl shakes her head and says there isn't a moment to stop and explain. As the two boys step into the room, the girl warns them that the enemies have already arrived. She readied her weapon and hurled it at one of the boys, striking him instantly before he could even react. Struggling to get up from the floor, the protagonist stares in horror as cold sweat breaks out, forcing him to back away and beg the girl to explain how she could attack his friend like that. But Jigsu was so determined, he only told him to keep an eye on his back. That's when we see a terrifying zombie with glowing red eyes about to turn the young man into a meal. Luckily, the heroine slashes the monster with her big sword to save the boy, who is still in the dark, while the two zombies on the floor look like they're really gone. In a flash, they vanish into smoke and leave a pile of coins in their wake. Wang stands frozen in shock, wondering how the boys somehow turned into zombies and then burst apart into a heap of coins. She gently tells him he isn't going mad, explaining that the game is actually bleeding into our reality. Not believing his ears, the young man asks how his school could possibly be turning into a dungeon. So Jigsufu calmly tells him that if he wants things to go back to normal, he has to finish the dungeon with her. If they failed, everything would be lost, so while the girl spoke, Wang sprinted to his dorm window to peek outside and see what was happening. To his horror, his classmates have turned into zombies, and if they don't finish the challenge, they will all be swallowed up by the game forever. The heroine leaped out the window and bravely wiped out the monsters, while the boy sadly apologized to his fallen friends for everything that had happened. Looking back, the girl tells him to hurry, grabs his hand, and drags him along as she runs, while Wang remains confused and asks why all this is happening. The warrior admits it's his mistake, for a developer made those changes just to earn cash and please the players. As a result, the game world woke up and decided its first mission is to get revenge on every human. Outside the school, our boy checks for danger and wonders why zombies are in the game, until a thought strikes him that he's seen these same weak enemies before in a spooky Halloween dungeon, where players easily cleared out thousands of them. So he tells the girl she should have warned him sooner, because wiping out the dungeon will be as easy as taking candy from a baby. A zombie wielding a double-bladed chainsaw charges at him, and though the wine drinker stands ready with a broom, the undead quickly snaps the stick in half. The young man, trembling with fear and shock, asks why the creature would carry such a deadly weapon if it was truly meant to kill humans. Suddenly, the sound of speeding wheels rolls toward them. A zombie sits in the electric chair, using its power to charge the ghost teenager. Wang, having no other choice, sets off to run after Jigsufu. The young girl explains that this whole mess is the game world's revenge plot, where the monsters will soon see them as weak and flip the tables on them. She stares at the crowd of monsters before her, worry deep in her eyes. Her tiny worry disappears right away once she uses her power. The trouble is she's already spent most of her magic power, and if this keeps going, everything will fall apart. So after turning to see the boy shaking uncontrollably, she decides there is no other choice left. Just as she stops thinking, A zombie grabs her with a sharp weapon and strikes. To save herself, Janek Sufu leaps backward just as the beast crashes down, shattering the ground beneath it. This angers the white-haired girl, who grabs Wong's hoodie and storms out of there right away. As they reach the new spot, the girl warns the boy that her power is fading and he must learn to trust himself if he wants to live. So he turns around and asks how he can do that. With a different power, the heroine promises to bless him and wake up his true strength. As Wong steps closer, a smile reveals that the Valkyrie's blessing isn't just a nice gift, but a clear sign that they are now officially together. Jake Sufu starts the fusion in silence, summoning a red lightning bolt from the sky that instantly grabs the zombie's attention. The boy realizes his clothes have turned into his game outfit, and the young woman explains that she used her blessing to break the final wall between reality and the game, making him a seer, right as a new system pops up telling him he can boost one stat before every battle. Standing right in front of the giant target, the young girl asks the boy to pick which talent he will use. Snatching a dagger, our boy didn't hesitate a second and flung it away, his excitement pouring right out of him. He strikes the lucky spot that allows him to claim an S-rank weapon, and with a flamethrower in hand, the boy vows to make the most of his new power. Zombies are sprinting toward us at full speed. But Wong, ready at last, starts firing at the monsters. Thinking to himself, he says he's turning his classmates back into humans by burning them until they're crispy. Wong keeps firing flames non-stop, making the zombies scream in panic and vanish into coins and loot where their rotting bodies used to be. Feeling confident in his new fighting skills, our boy learns from Jack Sufu that his special power was only allowed for an emergency, and that his actual strength is still much weaker than it looks in the game. He acts like he doesn't care, saying his level doesn't matter since he just needs to clear the dungeon to fix everything. The young one agrees, apologizes, and vows to keep using his weapon to burn every enemy to ash until nothing but dust remains. Seeing his attack work, Wong smiles and says he was right. The rewards keep flowing because he used the damage from his surroundings, a trick he learned back when he was weaker. Realizing that the environmental damage bypasses her defense, Jake Sufu calls the trick silly, yet useful, proving the boy truly gets the game. So as he approaches her, he asks if approved partners get a blessing and if he should call her his wife. The young woman shoves him toward the fire and insists once more that she did it only because it was an emergency. Seeing Wong about to take a hard fall, she quickly grabs his hand and asks if he is all right. Our kid gives a thumbs up and lets us know he's doing just fine. As Jake Sufu scrambles back up and stares at the chaos below, convinced they've barely escaped, he spots something wrong just as they suddenly plummet. Standing on ground, the young woman realizes the invasion is spreading deeper because the city has completely transformed into the game world. Wong says he gets it and just wonders if she can stand up since she's crushing him. The boy springs to his feet and shouts that someone is watching them. Suddenly, zombies start popping up from the ground, and things get even worse because the flamethrower is useless now that the area is filled with flammable stuff. As he opens his panel to find something useful, the heroine notices that his power has suddenly grown. With a smile, he hands her a mana potion and explains that since his weapon only works up close, she'll need to take care of the enemies from a distance. Jag Sufu grabs her sword, tells the boy to ready himself as those terrible monsters come closer, and Wong answers by shooting fire at them. From the sky above, a zombie sniper locks his crosshairs right on the boy. Just as he's about to fire, the heroine lands a deadly blow that kills him instantly. Standing together, the boy claims they make a perfect team just like he expected from her, but she turns red and insists she isn't his wife, asking him to stop. Right then, he notices his flamethrower is getting too hot and needs to cool off, so he grabs her hand and tells her they need to pull back through the maze-like landscape. Jaksu nervously begs Wong not to scramble like a headless chicken or trip on monsters, but Wong confidently replies that he knows the way since it's exactly like the one in the game. Suddenly, two female zombies step into their path, politely asking to dissect the young people, which makes the boy laugh because they look much better than in the game, even as his wife tells him to stop making light of it. Grabbing his weapon without a second thought, he fires and blasts powerful flames at one of the creatures. But instead of burning, she strides through the flames to strike him with her massive claws, leaving Wong completely stunned by how she did it. The heroine steps up, hurls her blue blades, and rushes to ask the boy if he is okay. Clutching his side in pain, our boy realizes his weak stats mean he still can't beat those monsters. He tried to act, which sent him into pain, but then the young woman spun around to warn him of an attack as the zombie with huge claws got ready to kill him. The boy thanks her for the warning and then turns around. Using one foot to hold the creature back, he apologizes and then blasts a huge stream of fire straight at her face. Still hurting, he remembers that a headshot deals deadly blows, but it's a pity how hard it is to aim that flamethrower. Jag's Suefu stepped closer, looking a bit worried and telling him he had been wrong to think she would be careless with female monsters. Smiling, the boy says that slaying just those 2 monsters will be enough for him to level up, letting Vin heal so they can earn some extra bonuses along the way. A special skill called Happiness drops from the sky, and he gets 4 more points for every single attribute. So focused on what's happening, the pair never realizes someone is watching them from a tree, where a bat has finally spotted the Dan intruders. He steps forward to reveal his true nature as a vampire who can't wait to taste Jigsufu's strawberry juice. As the 2 young people kept walking, they found themselves standing before a church glowing with a deep red light. They push the door open and a swarm of bats bursts out, while the vampire on his throne says they did well to find him, but warns that invading his home means they'll get what they deserve. As the door slams shut behind them, Wong turns forward and freezes, realizing the vampire ahead is nothing more than the janitor from his school, Old Goldtooth. Surprised, the young woman says it looks like even the boss has merged with someone from real life. Standing up, the scary vampire smashes the cup in his hand and asks the girl if she thinks his gold teeth are awesome. With a sneer calling the creature disgusting, Jigsufu readies her blue dagger to rip out all its teeth for the attack. The vampire easily blocks the strike, laughs, and counters instantly while mocking her weak attacks. Then a misty form wraps around the heroine, making her nervous since their natures are completely opposite. Suddenly, a vampire slips up behind the girl and whispers that he won't hurt her, so she shouldn't worry. Wong steps up and lands a hard punch on the monster, shouting that it won't touch his wife. Down on the ground, the vampire groans about losing his old gold tooth that had been stuck in his mouth for so long. With Jigsu cradled in his arms, our hero vows that no monster will ever lay a hand on the young woman's hair. The monster lunges at the boy, growling that he'll kill him right now if that's what it takes. With a confident grin, the boy laughs at the enemy for using the same old trick, calling it useless as he blasts them with his flamethrower. The vampire feels annoyed and confused, wondering how he could get hurt while he was just missed. Explaining, Wong says his flamethrower deals magical burns a vampire can't dodge, so the angry creature lunges forward to finish him off right now. Dodging the blows, Wong laughs that the attacks are too weak to bother him, leaving the vampire puzzled, only for our hero to explain he's seen these moves before after dying 5 times when the game first launched, though now he's about to face them for the 772nd time before finishing the fight and firing up again. Just a minute later, the vampire pops into a crispy crunch. As the boy nears Jigsufu and asks if he did well, the young woman gently tells him not to get too excited over just killing a boss, even as she thinks to herself that she'd love to reward him for saving her life. When he opens his panel again, our hero discovers he has found a rare treasure, a vampire's ancestral gold tooth, level 1. Suddenly, the whole world starts shaking, and his friend warns that the link between the game and reality is breaking apart again. So when things crumble down, a heavy rock crashes right onto our boy's head and knocks him out. When he opens his eyes, he finds himself lying on something soft and knows this isn't a dream. Suddenly, a voice asks if he slept well, and as he looks forward, he spots a giant blonde woman with glowing red eyes. Backing away, Wong wonders if she's the wife of the vampire he just killed and what she wants there, but the woman stands up and tells him to put away his silly toy flamethrower because it's time for a meal. The protagonist shivers, feeling the sweet but chilling realization that the war is coming and striking him hard. Wong reaches for his weapon, but his hand is crushed by a giant foot in a red high heel. Looking down at him, the woman warns him to stay still or he'll get crushed. Our guy tries to dodge the vampire's flirting by telling her he's already married. The creature isn't fazed at all. It grabs him by his clothes while he begs for Jigsufu to appear. Suddenly, Boots kicks the door open just as the young woman appears and tells them they've been whisked away to a new part of the game. She takes in the scene, asks what's happening, and the boy says he'll explain. She glared with a wicked grin, claiming that the girl's husband was now hers. Jigsufu quickly replies that she's not the boy's wife and adds that a woman in such a high position shouldn't even be there. With a grin, the creature asks if she truly believes she's the only one who isn't normal before unleashing an attack that turns the air into a swarm of vampire bats rushing at the girl, who throws her arms up to block them while whispering that it's all over because the woman is too strong. As Wong panics, his enemy grips him tightly and laughs, saying that since he's taken care of the girl, she's now all his. To their surprise, the heroine pops back up and asks who they were talking about when she mentioned taking care of someone. Feeling underestimated, she unleashes her strongest attack while telling the woman to feel honored, and then plays dirty by warning her not to get closer if she wants her husband to suffer. Jake Sufu shifts his plan and pulls out the legendary Sun Spear, an S-rank artifact that alone makes the enemy feel her strength fading just by looking at it. She grabs her shield to keep herself safe, but the boy kicks her and claims he tricked her by pretending to be charmed. With her shield shattered, the vampire challenges him, daring him to believe she lacks the courage to destroy him. Wing smiles and makes fun of her, saying his own wife is far superior, all while easily dodging every strike she throws. Ben let her think he was just distracting her, so Jig Sufu could get his attack fully charged. Her real power lies in working together, but when struck directly, the vampire lets out a scream as the panel opens to reveal that our boy now holds the very soul of a vampire lord. As he runs, he grabs his ally and pulls her in tight, promising to give her a piece of his heart while telling her he loves her and they are made for each other. But the young girl begins to feel weak and sick after using up all her energy. Held by the boy, she explains that her core data is damaged and she needs to rest before asking him to wait for her in the next battle. But suddenly an old man with a wicked smile appears out of nowhere to ask what they are doing there. It's the school principal. He steps up, takes the girl's hand, and says he must take her to the infirmary while the boy attempts to explain. Wong spots a health bar floating above the man's head. The boy tells him to wait and says he's not the principal. His guess was correct, and the man turned into a red-eyed plant monster that our hero realized must be the dungeon's final boss, so he grabbed his weapon to fight. If he finishes him off, the world will be back to normal. Fern, with a knowing smile, wonders if he truly believes he can tear down his own kingdom. He says school is his playground, while Jay Sufu is trapped in his tentacles, turned into his new toy. Since her power is so weak, she has no way to stop him. While scribbling, the protagonist commands the monster to let his wife go, then shoots his weapon to cook the plant. To survive, the creature tears a hole in itself to soak up the fire, twists its trunk, and blasts green slime balls at the boy. Suddenly, a huge boom blasts through the air, hiding the boy for a split second before he pops back up, looking tired but unharmed, while the monster gets ready for its next move. It shoots a big, glowing green ball right at our boy. Seeing it coming, the young man freezes and scrambles to find a way out. The ball smacks right into its mark, and Jig Sufu, still stuck inside, watches the whole thing with a heavy, worried heart. Now sure of itself, the creature claims it has kicked the boy out of school and can handle her, but Wong shows up again and laughs, saying a fireball wasn't even enough to warm him up. He grabs what looks like her sword, rushes forward, cuts through the enemy's tentacles, and catches the young woman before she falls, smiling as he promises to always be there to save his wife, only for her to gently ask him not to call her that again. Looking back, the young woman warns the boy to stay sharp because the fight isn't over, while the furious boss snaps at him to see how he'll survive without his powerful weapon now that he's launched more tentacles. Dodging the blows, Wine wonders if the monster truly believes he needs S-rank weapons to survive. Then it says that even a plain iron sword is plenty to send him to his eternal rest. As the boy strikes, he taunts the creature, saying he has no clue how hard he worked just to meet Cheek Sufu, or how much he must know to win her heart. That's why, having seen it all, he knows that even a single piece of wood is enough to win. Feeling hurt by all the teasing, the monster admits that even with his new look, he still feels like nothing but a pile of junk. Opening his panel, our boy says he needs nothing more since he can see every single weakness at a glance. The monster's rage pushes him to unleash another attack as he vows to burn the boy until nothing is left, but Wong narrows his eyes and wonders how the creature dares try that move since stopping it midway could destroy the beast. The boy does exactly what he must, and the monster lets out a scream of agony. Even though he's been totally destroyed, the boss still insists on kicking the boy out of school. Our boy grabs a big sword, declaring it's time to finish the fight, earn some experience, and collect gold coins. Suddenly, sharp, freezing blades start flying at him. With a scream, Jake Sufu demands that he listen closely. The boy dodges the strike, letting the knives hit the shocked creature, and then Wong turns to ask who dares steal his kill. Suddenly, footsteps echo, and two girls with purple and blue auras appear, and our boy spots that the most beautiful girl in school, Room Mammon, is one of them, so he asks what she is doing there. Curious, he asks if he knows her, and the boy replies that she's one of the school's bullies. The pink-eyed girl asks her friend who the staring boy is, but the other shakes her head and says they're just classmates, until Wine steps closer and realizes that quiet girl is actually the magic instructor, Xiao Lujia. After he touches the girl's head and she tells him to stop, Wong steps back and spots a shining legendary gold item dropped by the principal on the ground. He opens the panel and wonders what key it could be, since he didn't even know the item existed. Just as two new girls warn the boy not to touch the cursed item, he's already too late and gets blasted across the room like a rag doll, only to find a terrifying woman appearing to gloat that she finally got close enough while mocking the previous boss for being too weak. As the boy is grabbed by his neck, he shouts at the fallen Valkyrie Ruby, asking why she is there if this isn't her battlefield. She smiles, but stays silent, asking if he is really the one who defeated Jigsufu. Now feeling better, the boy in the alley grabs the woman's arm and warns her to let go or she'll die. Ruby challenges the girl, wondering if she truly believes she can beat her even after breaking the game's rules, especially since she's only level 50. As Wong steps in to say his wife is doing better, the woman gets so angry she shouts he asked for it and looks ready to attack. Before she lands a mighty punch, she jokes that she'll knock him out so hard he won't even be able to come back to life. Luckily, a shield protects our boy and stops the attack, leaving the red-haired woman shocked and disappointed. Someone claims it happened because they picked up the dropped item, which made the game give them the rewards. Rue Mammon declares that the woman can no longer hurt anyone, while Wong mocks her for being so focused on him that she didn't even notice what was happening. She realizes she's been tricked, so she offers her hand and tells the boy he's lucky this time, but warns him that next time she'll finish them all one by one before disappearing into the portal she just opened. And after celebrating their escape, he admits he got his rewards too. So life at school goes back to normal, and our janitor can't figure out how his gold tooth just disappeared without him noticing. Meanwhile, the principal sat in his office wondering what he had eaten to make his stomach hurt so badly. The protagonist smiles and tells Mammon he never imagined being friends with the school leader, but the young woman shakes her head, confused by his words, and simply tells him to ignore him. Jigsufu steps up to tell Wong that he must ask the girl with glasses where she got that impossible key, which she explains is a dangerous item that keeps our world separate from the game, meaning whoever holds it will be hunted forever as a traitor. Feeling curious, she remarks how odd it is that the boy knows nothing about everything. Ally then apologizes for not telling us about this earlier. She declares that both her world and the boys are real, but a resentful game world is secretly controlled by an unknown force that uses its dungeons to strike at their reality. If nobody steps in to stop it, the real world will crumble while the game world falls apart into pieces. Shio adds that to save their home, the NPCs gain consciousness because they believe stopping the game's invasion requires finding a secret floating island that no one has ever seen. Once you gather the key items, you'll be able to unlock the door and step through. Realizing what's happening, Wong asks if he's really going to save the video game world. Jigsufu apologizes for dragging him into the mess and offers him a way out, but the boy smiles and refuses, leaving Ramon shocked to learn just how badly he wants to fight. In the end, this fight puts his life in serious danger. Wong says he has two big reasons why he won't give up the mission. First, he's the game's toughest player who can crush any level right away without a worry in the world. But second, there's his wife to think about. After all, where else could he find a girl like Jufu? The girl, fed up, starts hitting him while the boy tries to explain that he was just kidding. With his cheeks still stinging from the light punches, he admits he's not good at anything except playing. Now that saving the world is just a game, he can't miss the chance to play it with his wife. Frustrated, Rue Mammon tells the boy she hates him and demands he stay away from her forever. For now, she lets the safety they offer be her shield. All at once, the school bell rang out. Worried about the noise Wong's Alet and Xiao Bei will make, he asks what to do before the other students notice them. The girl with glasses then tells him not to worry, because her dad is the school principal and she knows just what to do. Sometime later, Jiffle looks at the protagonist and asks if he really wants her to wear those clothes. After that, we see the two girls in their school uniforms, and the boy keeps taking pictures of the white-haired girl, telling everyone how beautiful she looks. Suddenly, other students spot the pretty girl next to Wong and get annoyed, thinking she must be his girlfriend and that he's really lucky. Walking up to the boy, the heroine asks him to find a quiet place for them that night so she can tell him something, and the shy boy nods, promising to make it happen. That night, the protagonist stood alone on the quiet sports field, waiting for his beloved to arrive. Jigsufu steps forward and slashes at the boy with her blade for his rude question, then grins as she says, "Just as I expected, you're quick on your feet, so get ready for some special training." Wong grabs his weapon and asks if that's why she summoned him, then proudly declares he's already mastered every ability in the game. She explained that she'll teach him a special skill that only a Valkyrie and her partner can use when they work together. Far away, Ruby perched on a rock, annoyed that our boy stopped her to tell her hiding in the real world is a huge mistake. Now that the school and game world have merged, she knows the way perfectly and can finally grab the key from the two girls. While back at Wong's training, he nervously asks about her idea of dual cultivation, only for her to cheerfully explain that it's just about helping him unlock his power through fighting and mastering his special abilities. The boy is confused as the girl attacks him from everywhere, forcing him to dodge fast, while his friend explains that Data Awakening is a special power that works no matter your level, gear, or stats. Only by mastering this skill can you bridge the huge level gap and defeat your opponents. Otherwise, sooner or later, Ruby will end up killing him. That's why she insists on caring for him herself. But just as she speaks, the girl hurls a massive blue sword straight at the boy. But to her surprise, her strike gets stopped right in front of her. With a flick of his power, the boy halts the swinging sword, tells her he gets it, and asks her to stop scaring him. Then he shows that he can see both his own health bar and hers. Shocked, Jig-Sufu stammers, asking how and when he woke up. Wong lunges forward with his sword, and the subdued girl explains that since learning about the merging of the two worlds, his craving to feel video game powers in reality has only gotten stronger. All it took was hearing his ally's explanation, and boom, it happened. Annoyed, the young woman snaps that this was just a basic awakening and that there's still a lot left to learn. As the boy stood up and let loose blue waves of power, he asked if she meant that moment of awakening. With her hair whipping around from a sudden burst of energy, the young woman shields her eyes just as her partner spots a distant explosion, leaving them both wondering what could possibly be causing it. At the blast site, Ruman and Bei fight Ruby, who grins at the girl with glasses for using up all her potions while her friend looks on in shock that the woman managed to get there so easily. The enemy asks if those will be the D's final words just as they prepare their super attack. Mammon pleads with Shio to raise an ice wall right away, and she grabs her magic book to summon the power of frozen ground for their safety. Ruby taunts the warden as he charges at the stone wall he built, boasting that a single hit will shatter it like glass. Climbing closer, she kicks the pink-eyed girl out of the way and warns that once she takes out her friend, she will blow her up next. She turns to the man and demands the key to her life, but when the girl refuses, the enemy slaps her hard and reveals that she never intended to let her live, because in the game world players never felt the pain of being cut, but now that things are different, she will finally make the girl feel that pain. Ruby grips her cursed blade and whispers that she'll take her time. Soon the girl will truly taste what it feels like to lose. Mammon spins around to warn that the woman will soon regret her choice, since Wine has pledged to keep her safe. Just as they were about to strike, blue blades flew out to save them from the enemy. We spot our boy and Jig-Sufu apologizing for the wait, joking that heroes always make their entrance at the very last second. Annoyed, Ruby declares she'll crush him first for his earlier teasing, while the yellow-eyed woman beside her husband warns the redhead not to underestimate the boy who has now mastered a new power, and the red-haired creature laughs, asking if the girl really wants to take the first hit. But Wong steps forward and asks if she didn't hear what his wife just said, noting that a single heal lum is enough to wipe her out. Worried about the gap between them, Mammon doubts if their plan will work, but his ally insists the boy must have a reason for doing this. Ruby strikes first, claiming the protagonist talks too much. She screams and lunges with her burning sword, but Wan's bright blue blade stops her right in its tracks, leaving her frozen in shock. She pulls out another weapon and strikes again, landing a rapid series of hits that she is forced to block once more, leaving her furious and wondering how she can't win. Using her trick of making copies of herself, she creates 2 more just to watch him react to facing 3 of her at once. White replies that he'll be kind and split her into 3 pieces, but the woman is confused about how he can tell the real one from the lookalikes since none of the players have ever noticed such a fast difference in their inner data. Now that he's mastered it, he says he can clearly see the weakness in the data. He figured he knew her body as well as the back of his own hand. She snaps at the player, calling him a despicable jerk. She calls his gear trash and warns him that hitting her will only hurt him, but the man mocks her by asking who said he was going to hurt her. He pulls her in, grinning that he found her secret weakness is being ticklish, and he lets her know he knows every spot on her body while she begs him to stop, laughing so hard she can't breathe. As the 2 girls watch the scene unfold, they ask if the third one could have predicted this, but she shakes her head and says no. She can't stand it anymore, so she tells the boy she gives up. He gives in and tells her to stop making things difficult for him. Then the young woman asks if he's not scared, because she'll stab him in the back and kill him. The man didn't care and told her he would honor his promise just because she's a Valkyrie. Fuming, she turns her back and vows to remember this lesson when she grows strong enough to face the boy again, walking away with a promise of revenge. While watching, the boy remarked that it was a good job from a good player. The D walks up to the boy who fought the Valkyrie. The boy introduces himself as Stinky Jan Wu and points to his partner Kianf, standing right beside him. The boy recognizes the 2 of them and says he knows them, which surprises Sinchi, so Seinfing laughs and asks for 1,000 copies of Ironwood and herbs from the player. He finally realizes that the woman he just met is actually the same person who made him chop wood and dig dirt for weeks on end. Xing suddenly realizes he's talking about his partner. Laughing, he explains that these two players know each other well through their characters and belong to a group called Tamiya that fights together, inviting them to join. Curious, the boy wonders if it's like a guild, and the girl adds that the more players join, the better their chances of saving the world become. Zingy agrees she's correct and wonders if the boy ran out of medicine after his fight with the Valkyrie. Two girls get handed special healing drinks. They gulp them down and thank you for the gift. Both bounce back with fresh energy and listen as they learn that working together beats fighting alone. The young man tells them that as long as the two are okay with it, they should follow him. He says the boss is waiting at the site, but being a construction zone means they can't help standing out. Then they hear a voice questioning if that wasn't the strongest player, and they're left shocked. Perched at the very top of the building, a young man and a girl watch as he remarks that it's been far too long since he's seen players from every server rise up to face a real challenge. Looking up, the boy in purple realizes the man before him is the king reborn. He tells me to stop calling him that because he finds it annoying. Then he says he didn't expect the NPCs to choose the way they did, especially since he had a mighty Valkyrie by his side. Then they bring out the Tamiya group's leader, and everyone is shocked by who he really is. Curious about the rumors, the girl asks if the boy is the powerful player from before, warning that joining them could put their safety at risk, so the young man wonders what he should do. The girl proposes they ask him to give up his partner, Jetsufu, so he gets to solve two problems at once. Following the suggestion, the young man agrees to let the youth join their group, but only if he hands over Jitsufu. The purple-haired youth steps forward to ask if Period is truly crazy for thinking the enemy would ever give up his wife. When the leader threatens to steal either girl anyway, the speaker can't stand the answer. Just as they're ready to fight, Yangjin notices one of his friends suddenly feeling ill. He realizes the girl is poisoned, and in a flash, he recalls the medicine they drank and tells Janwoo that something was wrong with their potion. The boy insists he shouldn't be blamed because he took on the boss. Laughing, Period tells the opponent they aren't in shape to fight. Yingu shakes his head and says that he loves refusing requests from arrogant people like his opponent. After the leader jumps off the building, he shouts that he's finally going to settle an old score and orders everyone to fight until one of them is dead. He claims that if he wins, Jake Sufu is his, and the two immediately start fighting while trading insults. Period tries to step closer to the woman, but she warns him not to dare come near. She wonders why they fight instead of teaming up to save the world, and the boy in purple asks if they realize that merging the worlds would bring game things into reality, which could be good enough to break the old rules. But the chosen ones must keep fighting and getting stronger to survive, making them the only hope for regular people, forcing everyone to trust and worship them like gods, which the laughing blonde man points out means everyone will have to obey him, leading Yingu to wonder if that's why the opponent plotted against Mammon and killed the other players. They all agree that if the game's beautiful girls really appeared in real life, it would be a brilliant move. But Suhim, the purple-haired boy, shakes his head and says it won't be that way after all. He asks if the opponent knows how many people have died because of his choice and vows to stop him, only to be mocked by the claim that he is far too powerful, forcing Yingu to realize he must grow stronger to fight the young man in purple, who admits he knows the other is stronger but believes he has never cared to improve his mind. The leader stammers in surprise as Yang Su smiles and points out that since he ignored the broken building's weak structure, physics will now take its course and crush the blonde youth beneath the rubble. Before Yang Su could walk away, a boy grabs Shirao Bei by the arms, but the rest of his group steps in to protect her and laugh at the kid for thinking he could beat so many top players. The boy dressed in purple tells Ramon and Shirao Bei to get out of the area right now. Laughing, he teases her about giving up too soon and says he just wants to have fun, but when she hugs another girl, she admits she doesn't get his charm. Calling him reckless, he says that if the boy cares too much about his friends, he will only get distracted. The pink-haired girl tries to help her friend, but she gets her leg trapped and is flung far away by Yingu. Just as she tries to run away, the boy snatches her arm and shouts to the leader that he has caught his partner. Rising from the rubble, irritated Period glares at the opponent, wondering how they dare use such dirty tricks. He stares in shock at the scene, while the desperate girl begs her leader for help, and Yang Su orders the boy to have his ally free his friend. The pink-haired girl rolls her eyes and mocks everyone for thinking she's weak, daring them to watch how shocking her real power will be. Pyrie quickly agreed to their plan and begged them to leave his partner alone. They say this is his chance to get what he wants, and moments later, the freed hostages rush forward to check if everyone is okay, with Aju crying and saying that Yingu scared her. Then the protagonist shouts out to Period, reminding him of what happened just before. The boy laughed at his rival, saying he wasn't scared, and later went to Mammon's house to chat with his friend. He tells the other two girls they're in shock and need to rest, and the white-haired girl says that sadly because she was the one who suggested the alliance. Yingu whispers that she needs not to fear or feel guilty. Worried, the protagonist admits to making a huge noise during their encounter and checks his phone to find that pictures of them are already spreading. The news anchor says that strange monsters have been spotted all over the world, and since they appeared, these huge beasts have been tearing things up, with more than 4 already found. Now that monsters are swimming in the sea as well as roaming the land, 2 desperate children cry out to their parents for help. As Yingu watches the news, he says this isn't a joke and looks like the world is about to end. The presenter claims the creatures came from the game of 1,000 girls, so the scared hero rushes home to tell his partner that monsters have taken over the city, insists he must act, and despite her worry about him going alone, he insists she stay behind to look after Tio and Mammon. He tells her not to worry because he is the strongest player there. As they part ways, she tells him to look after himself. Inside the cabin, someone called out to O. Is the time when the guy and the girl are together, chatting about Yingu. The girl thanks her friend for saving her life, but her leg hurts so much that she asks for a massage. The boy promises her a massage, but the clever girl sees right through him, knowing she can use his kindness to win over the other players. Inside the cozy cabin, the couple keeps chatting and showing their love, while outside, 2 boys argue about the monsters that have broken into our world and how killing them might just be the key to gaining real experience. Inside the cabin, the couple keeps talking while the boy in glasses guesses that the leader plans to wipe out every monster. From afar, a castle comes into view, and someone apologizes to Lord Baya. The Valkyrie admits she was wrong and asks for forgiveness. The girl insists she deserves to die for what she did, but Lord B asks if she knows the key does far more than just stop the world from fusing, revealing it was the real reason her attempt failed. Valkyrie said the enemy was weak, but he knew her every move and feared that one more turn would be his last. The young woman begs for mercy and admits she was wrong, but the Lord refuses, saying he has already sent Quilu to end it. That news makes the woman furious because she knows now that she can never take her revenge on Yingu. As the city near the towering buildings is drowned in a deafening roar, monsters continue to pour in and a terrified girl hits the ground. But the protagonist rushes to her side, promising that he's on his way to save the city from the giant blue beetle while Wong steps up to fight. They said that no matter how huge the enemy looks, it's still just a bug. After knocking out the monster in one hit, his level goes up, and he calls the lucky 15x experience boost satisfying, but he knows he must reach level 15 before his skills and stats change drastically. Suddenly breaking his thoughts, the blue-haired girl he saved walks up to ask how he managed to beat the monster. The young woman flirts with Juan and asks him to be her bodyguard, but the boy turns her down because he has better things to do. Suddenly, arrows begin to fly at the 2 of them. With his sword held up to block, the boy shoves the girl aside, warns her to be careful, and slices most of the incoming arrows in half while the few that still hit him barely faze him as he wonders who else can attack like that. These level 15 archers have just finished their big upgrade and are ready for whatever comes next. Our boy is sure those arrows came from a very skilled marksman. Standing atop the building, the archer tells his friend that most of his arrows miss their mark, so his friend suggests they hurry to finish off Wong before he steals all their experience points. The brown-haired boy nods to the plan and charges back to take out the boy and girl standing beside him. From below, he spots a fresh wave of arrows heading straight for him. Frustrated, he figures it's the Tianjia crew, yet he can't understand why they're hurting innocent folks like that. He screams for the girl to run because the target isn't her, but a blinding burst of light suddenly erupts right in front of him, followed by a massive explosion that throws debris everywhere, causing the archer on the roof to angrily tell his mage friend that he just stole his kill. But the young man with glasses steps in to say that since no reward has come in, the target must still be alive. Though Sing Shi Jangu's orders annoyed them, the boys jump from the skyscraper to hunt down and eliminate Wong, while the nerdy boy stayed behind to complain that his friends were underestimating him, only for his ally to tell him to calm down. Laughing, the young man says he's completely calm because he's already planned his winning move. Away from the fight, the wounded hero drinks a potion to heal and vows to defeat Tangia. But just as his skills improve, something grabs his attention. Suddenly, the Titan centipede bursts from the ground, ready to tear everything and everyone apart. Wong throws his potion down to prove he's dangerous while nearby. An archer who just cleared out a group of enemies for a coin reward makes another small explosion on the bridge. Turning his head, the boy spots our hero sprinting away and decides he must be running from him. So he fires another arrow while sneering that the hero is just a tiny creature he loves to destroy. The Titan centipede's tough body shields the creature from the arrows, which is why the shot misses its mark. As he taps into his power, he realizes the archer's shot was so powerful it actually hurt the monster. The brown-haired boy finally sees his mistake because the giant bug is now furious and staring right at him. A bit further on, Finchie says he is happy with the monsters his team just killed. And when the mage wonders where the archer is, the boy shrugs and says the only thing that matters is taking out the hero. But then they see the missing guy running away from a giant centipede and crying for help, which makes the black-haired boy shocked and confused to ask why his friend decided to fight the world's toughest boss all by himself. The boy with glasses answers that he's keeping all the experience for himself. Then he tells everyone to get ready to take on the area's boss. After a fierce fight, every boy and every monster is almost out of health points. Tired and unsure what to do, Tianji's members here, their supposed leader, insist they can't quit now since the fight is almost over. Suddenly, Wong bursts in, claiming he arrived to help the tired group, only to snatch the kill right from their hands. The boys stood frozen in shock, knowing it was too late to stop him, while they grumbled in annoyance as our boy took down the centipede, wondering why he had been hiding in the shadows just to steal the glory. Furious, Xingqi orders his friends to finish the fight, but a boy warns that the guy just hit level 15 and is now so strong they can't even get close to him. Juan picks his own special powers, skipping the Lucky Warrior and Celestial Mage to choose the Destiny Master, because as a seer, he wants to grab the future himself, and by steering fate's current, he builds up luck he can spend to make amazing things happen. Not knowing he was in trouble, the boys charged at him and yelled, asking what trash class he had picked. Laughing in his fresh clothes, our boy showed off his new moves, leaving the enemy group confused as to why their perfect attacks kept missing. The protagonist explains that his strong luck bar skill makes all attacks useless. It lets him ignore hits that lack a karma bar until his luck finally runs out. He points for us to look up, and there we see Wong sending fiery rocks crashing down from the sky. The boys were totally caught off guard when such a big promotion came their way. Our boy chuckles and calls that evil star meteor that brings bad luck and disaster. It's a terrible 1% chance to do 10 times more damage. After a huge boom, we found that every single player from the Tiania Guild had been hurt badly. Though Cassini is beaten up, he vows revenge, only for Wong to step forward with his sword drawn, demanding they settle their grudge for his friends. Suddenly, a woman steps in front of the protagonist and begs him not to kill the contractor, explaining that he was forced to join Tianjia and truly meant no harm. The protagonist ignores the information while the desperate woman promises to do anything to save the boy, leaving Mao surprised by her unexpected offer. As he hugs the woman and warns her not to regret her choice, furious Kinshi snaps at the young man for stealing his NPC, calling him a cruel jerk. With the girl cradled in his arms, Wong tells the boy that beautiful women are meant for the strong and that it's his own fault for losing the fight so badly. Even if the girls from the game step into our world, they'll still be under his expert care, no matter what. As our boy walks away, he tells the other kid he's letting him off this time, but warns it won't happen again. While over there, he puts the blue-haired woman down, and she says she won't sign any contract with him. The boy tells her not to worry, since he doesn't want her scared either, only to teach Essany a lesson that didn't work. So now he's walking away to end his life and take his NPC back. Suddenly, a stranger pops up and asks if the group is talking about Wong, threatening to kill everyone there without a sound if they reveal his location. The archer readies a shot and snaps at the woman, asking who she thinks she is for daring to say such things. Leaping in to deliver a heavy blow, she remarks that it's a pity they can't see how far above them they are, but she adds that she has no interest in torturing them anyway. No matter the outcome, as soon as he gets hit, the boys start screaming and only one is left alive, so the woman steps up to ask how he wants to finish, but on his knees the boy begs for his life and promises to tell her where the hero is since he has no desire to be an enemy in the game. Smiling, the woman thought she'd only let the boy live to make him talk, but she never guessed it would actually work. She says out loud that she will help him, hands him a fruit to eat, and the moment he does, the NPC with Wong knows her deal with the boy is already broken. She was so angry, she snatched up his clothes, demanding to know why he killed her contractor when he'd promised to just give him a lesson. Confused, the boy says, "If you wanted to get rid of me, you'd have done it sooner, and I'm sure it was a monster you're talking about." Feeling sad, the woman asks how he could know she was with other players, and the young man replies that it might have been a boss. With tears streaming down her face, the lonely NPC asks if he can make a deal with her right now. Wong, feeling embarrassed, says he must ask his wife before accepting her, but right then the ground shakes and cracks, revealing a giant demon cockroach that has found a player, causing the terrified NPC to hug the boy in fear, while her ally calmly calls it just a southern cockroach. Judging by its scary look, that monster must be the dungeon's final boss, so our hero draws his sword and tells the girl to get back. Just as he was about to strike, another person leaps in and cuts the cockroach right in half with one swift slash. It's Xingshi, now towering with a green, flowered look like the Hulk, stepping closer to ask the protagonist how it feels to have their kill taken. Our boy stares in shock, confused by his own name, the strange green glow around him, and who he is. A boy screams that everything is Wong's fault for daring to steal his NPC, just after revealing his true identity. He then explains that we can only fail so many times before we have to stop being human to keep going. Confused, the young man from the alley asks why he became a monster, while the hero wonders what the other guy is planning. Speaking up, the flower-like being said he was done trying to be human. Watching from afar, the one who caused it all says she never thought eating her fruit could turn a human into a monster. So Wangi, still confused, asks how the boy became such a horrible creature. The monster lunges forward to attack, but shouts that he can ask about that when he finally gets to hell. But our boy dodges the hit, which makes his opponent fly into a rage. With tentacles sprouting from his arm, Shinji claims he knows the perfect way to beat him no matter what. He grabs his old NPC and warns the boy that if he wants her to stay solid and not vanish, he'd better stop moving. Wong, annoyed, yells that the monster just has one trick up its sleeve, holding people hostage. But the creature says he doesn't care, and in a fit of rage, he squeezes the screaming girl with his tight tentacles. Our boy then called the idea foolish, explaining that his NPC is Jisufu and he doesn't need another monster like the creature thinks. But that just makes Pexing even angrier, since he wasn't so lucky because after his NPC chose him, he found out she couldn't fight. The only bright spot was her beauty, yet even that couldn't stop her from turning him down when he tried to make a move. Since the beast was too busy talking to notice the hero slip away, it didn't know he'd vanished until its tentacles were cut. Weon quickly freed the poor girl and caught her in his arms before she could fall. She carefully set the girl down and told the enemy that without her, the boy would be nothing, so he should be grateful instead of insulting her. Tanji snaps at him to hush up because he was picked by the strongest Valkyrie, meaning he doesn't get the pain, but when the beast opens its mouth to strike, our boy blocks the hit and reminds it that the Valkyrie only chooses the strong. That is why he is the one who will save the world. After getting hit by the monster's sword, the beast warns that fighting is pointless since he heals too fast, so the hero uses a special skill to find a weak spot and win the battle. He soon spots a fruit-like lump in his rival's stomach, so he charges up a lucky strike that guarantees his attack will hit with full force. He lunges with all his might, striking the lump that looks like the monster's weak spot with his sword and nearly emptying its health bar, just as Xingshi tries to figure out what happened. As the boy hits the ground and his stuff flies into my inventory, I start to feel like a sneaky thief. As the boy gets closer, his former NPC friend prays for him and says a final goodbye, wishing him peace. While the boy wonders who turned the young man into a monster before the responsible party steps out, introduces herself as Emerald, reveals her goal is to kill Wong, and the boy recognizes her and asks if she and Ruby are the assassins from the game world. Emerald confirms that the boy spotted his target's weakness and asks if he can try again, noting that even if he succeeds, he still can't stop her. Suddenly, vines shoot up from the dirt and snatch the hero right out of the air. Trapped and gasping for air, he discovers he can't use his powers, but as the woman closes in, she warns that she's no fan of close-up fights like the clumsy Ruby. The red-haired Valkyrie lay in her room, nursing her punishment and convinced that someone was talking about her. The enemy woman grabs one of the tentacles and promises to make the boy suffer. As he begins to take hits, he screams out in pain. His opponent then asks what it feels like to get whipped in the real world, and immediately throws Wong far away. As Stingshi's old guard, now worried, steps up to him, Emerald admits she's had enough of the torment and says she's finally ready to end it all, just as Bayer wanted. While standing wounded and feeling like his body is on fire, our hero checks his inventory for a quick fix while his luck recharges, and Wine spots that the key room Ammon grabbed could be used as a weapon, wondering what would happen if he tried it. To figure it out, he decides to take a risk and is grateful that luck is smiling on him. His enemy vows to turn him to ash and end the game. But just as a giant, glowing green ball rolls toward them, the boy holding the key realizes it has sensed his level up and now unlocks its basic powers. He instantly becomes the Keyblade Chanhong God, a massive sword made of fire. Our boy stands ready with his new weapon, declaring he will bounce the attack right back at his opponent. And by doing so, he activates the sword's holy shield and mirror effect to completely block the spell, leaving Emerald wondering if that strange power is the key Lord BA mentioned earlier. She finally sees her own blast turn back on her, sending a massive explosion that throws up a huge cloud of dust. Behind Juan, an NPC asks if the wound is defeated, and Juan replies that whenever someone asks that, it usually means the fight isn't over yet. Emerald stands right in the thick of the dust, coughing hard. She says the boy made a fool of her, even though she was badly hurt. But before she destroys him, she has to tell her lore that the boy figured out how to use the key's power. She then throws a spell down to the earth, and suddenly a fierce windstorm and a thunderous lightning storm erupt. Vid Duo spun around to find the enemy gone, leaving Wong puzzled as he wondered why the woman had just ran off like that. He marvels at how insane his new weapon stats are, far outshining any S-rank item, because his fresh sword can bounce back a long-range blast every 30 seconds. Our boy smiles as his new partner still can't believe how strong he is, proving she was wrong when she thought he only knew a few tricks. She speaks the words aloud, calling out to the boy and telling him she hopes to help him on his quest. If he shows mercy and agrees to the pact by placing his hand on her head, the boy checks if she is truly sure, and since she says yes, Wong accepts the deal and welcomes her. The process starts. A message pops up asking if the boy agrees to make a pact with the girl, and he quickly shouts that he does. So the young woman declares she is now his partner, but admits she's barely useful and can only offer a little help. The boy grins and assures that even small bonuses are helpful, so it's no problem. He checks her stats and finds her only power is to boost potion healing by 10%. The young woman apologizes and admits she is weak, but our boy insists her power will be incredibly useful. Then Can Fanging follows him to finally fix the anomaly, and as they stand before a strange glowing portal, the boy asks how to shut it down, but his NPC friend says she's clueless, leaving Wong to wonder if a key might be the answer. He then slides his new artifact into what looks like a keyhole. The plan works, and the boy is startled as the sword suddenly starts pulling itself free. His new NPC warns him to be careful, but then a terrible monster bursts from the ground with huge teeth ready to attack, until blue blades suddenly appear and destroy it. Jig-Sufu steps forward, telling him she's here to save him because her power has fully returned after her contractor reached a higher rank. Our happy boy is cheering as his wife finally arrives. But the young girl quickly shifts her look and demands to know exactly why he made a deal with the other woman standing right next to him. And then, furious, she asks if she should feel betrayed after he found a new partner just hours after they broke up. Then, realizing the NPC was another player's partner, desperate Wong stepped forward to say he could explain, but that it was a long story. Juffa steps in to stop him, wondering if that woman wasn't Shinji's partner. The boy called the man disgusting, but his friend insisted that stealing their NPC wasn't an excuse for being gross. Trying to explain, our boy says it was Ken Fang's contractor who broke the deal, and only then did the NPC agree to sign a new one on her own, a story the young woman confirms that makes our powerful friend relieved and happy to know she's not a bad person. She tells him she's always believed in him since the day they signed the contract. Then Wong changes the topic to ask about room ammon, and the woman replies that she and her partner are fine, just out hunting monsters before we see the two girls fighting a creature. The girl with glasses sends out a jolt of lightning while her NPC throws a fireball, and the monster burns, gets shocked, and then blows up. Ramon can't contain her excitement that she's finally ready to move up in class, and all she has to do is ask Wong which way to go. Aksib steps up and says she's already made it clear that the Elemental Apprentice class is the best one for her. The young woman is sure she's right, but because she's the boy's partner, she asks him anyway, and back at their location, our boy opens a seal, worried that monsters are still hiding in that area. His weapon tells him it has saved the island's location, meaning he can open a portal back anytime, which makes Wong Man super happy, just as Shiabe and Ramen show up to ask if he really fixed the problem, with the girl in glasses cutting in before he can answer to ask which class she should pick. The boy grins and says it's easy since he knows all the game's classes inside and out. He says Elemental Apprentice could be a great start, but she might accidentally hurt her teammates, while the Summoner and Mage take too long to get strong. Kaleidoscope Maiden feels like the perfect pick. Without a second thought, the young girl decides she'll take that class. Wayang suddenly stops and tells her to wait, explaining that they need special clothes for this level. Lexi Alba explains it's too late because the girl has already accepted the change, and now that a new outfit is being sewn onto the man's body while magic fills her with love, courage, and justice, the transformation finishes to reveal a young girl in witch-like clothes with red hair who is now officially a Kaleidoscope Maiden. When she turns to face them, her friends look annoyed, so the embarrassed girl demands to know what that class is and why she was forced to take it, only for Wong to explain that she can now unleash all her magic and deal massive damage, but she must stay transformed to do it. Nervously, the young girl begged to swap her outfit and classes, only to be told by her friend that it simply wasn't possible. We are whisked away to a new place, where a castle sits proudly on top of a mountain. Inside, someone mutters that they've been careless. Emerald tells Ruby that Wong has unlocked the key's hidden power. Her partner wonders if the Sar face is there, because the boy finally taught her a lesson. She explains with a sigh that the hero, now wielding a godly weapon and having switched his class, ended up beating her. But at least she hadn't lost to him when he was just level 10 and she had to beg for her life. Ruby wonders if she's about to get beaten up, but she quickly stops talking when the woman lashes out with green tentacles and traps her. But her real partner steps out from behind her, revealing the trick even wine can see, and a fierce battle erupts until another Valkyrie arrives to scold them for waking Lord B, forcing the two women to kneel and beg for another chance. Emerald thinks to herself that Aster acts like she's powerful, even though she's just an assistant. Ba then asks if Wong really learned to use the key, and admits that he isn't surprised at all. Since the young man chose to block his path, he will send a gift to foreshadow what is coming. And as the protagonist and his group look around, they realize the world feels darker than it usually does. As they read the news, they see how far the monster outbreak has spread, and Mammon feels a quiet relief knowing the boy is still close to the city. Our boy beamed with pride, declaring himself the strongest player in the world. Suddenly, the sky plunges into darkness as a giant portal bursts open, catching everyone off guard. Screaming, Cyobia identifies the legendary Genesis Requiem spell, prompting someone to demand they flee while the pink-eyed girl shakes in fear, insisting there is no escape because the spell offers no defense, meaning that even if they run, the twisted laws of karma will still turn the city into dust. Wong demands to know who is to blame, and the girl replies that only a demon god-class mage at the very peak of power can do such a thing, pointing to the final boss of the Black Sanctuary dungeon, Baya, as the only suspect. Sitting high on his throne, the mage wears a scary grin as he tells Wong that he hopes to receive his gift with grace. A giant purple and pink lightning bolt crashes down from the sky, exploding against the city buildings and sending debris flying, which panics the crowd and ruins the video guy's equipment, leaving him screaming in pain. One blast follows another in a rapid chain. Amidst the chaotic rush for life, drivers end up crashing right into each other. We can see a giant cloud of floating energy hovering over the city. Chio, who's in a great mood, insists that even if you hit level 99 and become the final class, you still can't block that spell. But Wong steps up and declares he will bounce the magic right back at the caster, then strides into the sky with his glowing artifact, sending out bursts of yellow light. Once he gets into place, he starts his plan and tries to push aside the huge energy blast. However, his sword warns of a dangerous system glitch that could wipe his data if the power fails. So the nervous boy pleads for just a moment more, insisting that as the game's strongest hero with friends who need him, he must risk his own life to keep them safe. Out of nowhere, more hands grab the sword around him. Jig Sufu claims this is his Wong, and when she asks how he dares to fight alone despite calling her his wife, our smiling boy laughs and says they should team up as a couple to send the spell back. Next, all we can see is someone letting out a huge scream. Yellow lights glow in the purple sky to show where Lord Gaia lives. Looking back, Wine is so shocked by what she sees that she rushes over to YK Sufu to ask if she's okay. But then suddenly, he finds himself in a strange place. And worse, his wife is nowhere to be found. A voice calls out to Survivor 13, telling him he's finally awake in a refuge built by the master of Player Long and warning that he's been asleep for 7 days, leaving the confused young man to question his reality as he looks at the other survivors in the city. The chosen girl whispers that a mysterious energy blast smashed into the city, leaving less than 1% of its people alive. In that instant, the boy finally understood that he couldn't protect anyone, no matter how strong he claimed to be. As she wraps him in a hug, the robot woman tells him that since he is the last human left, he should make new people with her, but he doesn't understand what she means. Suddenly, she tosses him onto the bed and says she's okay with any position they try. But the hero thought it was just a joke. Master Long built a rule into her that made her stop telling jokes the moment she sensed anyone feeling sad. Even so, the hero realizes the robot's owner had a very strange sense of humor. He decides to track the robot down to find his partner. The puppet dragged Wang Yang Su to the shelter, obeying its master's command to hunt for nearby refugees. But she wasn't allowed to know where he was. Then suddenly the hero started waving at his friends. As soon as Wang Yinggu showed up, everyone cheered with joy, but two girls immediately locked eyes in a tense stare while the crowd worried about how he had fared after such a long time away. Hearing that, he starts playfully teasing the girl who's too nervous to admit she's scared to see him again. Feeling lost, he asked where the missing survivors could be. But the others didn't believe in the shelter, so they hurried away fast. The hero thinks about how weak the small base is. An alarm suddenly screams of a monster attack, and the scary noises start to grow louder right before us. As the monsters got closer and closer, the kids ran away as fast as they could. The creatures happily spotted the humans and lunged to catch them, but then a robot woman suddenly formed a weapon in her hands, just as her master commanded. She was about to start killing when the hero asked to take over, feeling much stronger after a week-long coma and seeing it as a chance to get some exercise. A scary, hungry wolf lunges at the human, its sharp claws reaching out to tear. But their adventure halts when a rock smacks him on the head, even though the team is ready to use their powers to protect everyone. One girl tossed a simple water bomb at the enemy to knock him back, and with the target now found, they began the cleanup while a robot's hands sliced a monster in half in under 5 seconds with a sharp blade. Seeing how strong his new friend was, the hero realized there wasn't enough time to try out his new powers. Peeking from behind the trees, a huge figure watches the scene unfold and starts to walk forward, saying that while he let his younger brothers hunt humans for fun, he didn't expect them to die, and unlike the other soldiers, this level 30 warrior monkey named Laz intends to kill everyone in his path. The robot scans the person and sees they are a huge danger, so it shouts that everyone must run away right now. But Wang Yinggu couldn't wait to get into that fight. Knowing a fight was coming, the huge monkey stepped forward, but the hero was already bracing himself. Suddenly, they started punching each other. Soon after, a huge boom erupted between them. Wang Yang soon noticed his health was taking a hit. With hands slick with blood, the level 30 monkey who looked like an elite monster smiled and claimed he could knock everyone out with one hit. But he didn't see that his fists were glowing hot before they just vanished. With a deep grasp of how the game world works, the protagonist focused his mind and unleashed a new move called data corruption on his opponent. Rage burned in the monkey's eyes as he shouted that the fight wasn't over yet. His tribe had mighty fighters who would protect the young man. But Yang-Su felt no fear, knowing he would crush every threat, while behind the wooden wall, desperate screams filled the air. The girl with horns was having a great time with everything going on. Powerless and begging her to take him back, the man said he had a family to care for, and the woman began to think about what to do. Shortly after, she slipped her hand into his throat, knowing he couldn't satisfy her. As she changed her clothes, she thought about how people were actually pretty useless. Outside, she talked with one of her team members about the silence coming from the monkey lair. Sitting on her throne, the Beast Queen Fong Lin, a level 30 ruler, thought hard about what to do next. It seemed those players could go on much longer than a regular person. Once the scary moment passed, everyone cheered for the win and showered the hero with thanks. As they marched toward the camp, they suddenly heard that soldiers were there. As they studied the danger ahead, the two talked about how the wild lands were teeming with monsters. Meanwhile, the robot turned around and said her job was done. Wang Yang-Shu snatched her arm and insisted he could help guide the townspeople to safety. But she told him she was built to obey Master Long unless someone bought her. When the hero heard the puppet's price was 100,000 coins, he thought it was an amazing deal. Sitting beneath a fig tree, the man told how the army once pulled them away from the city. But halfway through their trip, they ran into a terrifying monster that no bullets could hurt. That week, things got worse everywhere as monsters and strange beasts grew powerful enough to tear down whole cities. Standing by his side, the girl watched the hero look troubled because he couldn't figure out how to save the city. Before she could offer comfort, the robot squeezed him tight the moment it sensed his mood was changing. The puppet pulled him close and began speaking softly to help him relax. With her sword high, the girl asked what command he meant, but he looked scared and said it wasn't his order. In the end, everyone settled down to sleep that night so they could be on the road early the next morning. Wang Yang-Shu kept his eyes open and walked through the dark forest. He just wanted to find a quiet spot to relieve himself, but his plans were quickly ruined when a puppet started following him deep into the forest. Seeing that she was awake, he asked why she wasn't asleep. The robot told her she didn't need food or water, just a recharge of electricity or magic to keep going. The master made a strange request, asking the puppet to try smiling once in a while because she looked too scary. With emotionless bionic muscles, she couldn't smile because that was something only humans could do. Now that she was his partner, she needed to have a name. From now on, they would call the robot Alice. But she didn't understand what the word partner meant, a tale to tell another day. Alice sat down and thought about the name people use for someone who thinks like her and can be trusted. She couldn't figure out why, even though she thought of herself as nothing more than an object. Suddenly, her body was pierced as a woman remarked that she didn't think anyone else was awake. Alice hit the ground while Lady Lean won, thinking no one could survive such a hit, and Queen Fong hoped her next hunt wouldn't end so quickly. The robot started knitting itself back together from the injury and snatched hold of the enemy's leg. But she could only fight at 60% of her strength. Despite her bad scans saying she should stop, she kept going and fought like a hero. Lee turned to look at the girl, who, based on his own math, should have died from the hit she took. Alice introduced herself as a level 25 mechanized demon doll, while the blue sky above the forest swirled with clouds. After he finished, Wang Yang-su seemed to feel much better. A strange chill raced up his back, and before he could even pull on his pants, a wild monster lunged at him. As soon as they realized they'd been spotted, the order went out to kill the human and tell the boss, but while the protagonist casually asked who they were talking about without a care, trusting in Patrol Alice, the robot was already losing pieces of herself, including an entire arm. Even with that, she looked ready to fight whatever danger came her way. Lady Lean, annoyed and claiming her own strength was greater, kept striking at Alice. As her system broke down, Alice figured her odds of winning the battle were less than 1 in 100. But she still had one final trick up her sleeve and was ready to give everything she had left. The demon doll dashes straight at the queen, leaving her completely confused. She pulls the enemy close into a tight embrace, and suddenly a burst of power flows from her as a mysterious black device springs to life. She starts the countdown to destroy herself, and right away a massive explosion blasts pieces of everything everywhere. All that's left of the doll is her head, since her body has been totally destroyed. But her target still looked scary and whole, leaving Alice unable to believe her attack did no harm while the protagonist ran on, still shocked by how bold the orcs were. His face shifts as a loud boom and explosion hit, making him shiver with suspicion as he slows his step toward whatever disaster has befallen Alice. Under the queen's feet, the robot apologizes for failing the mission and losing its power. She smiled and told her master he'd get his money back to buy a better doll. In that split second, Lean gets so fed up with the chatter that he crushes Alice's head, leaving Wang Yang-shu in shock as his new friend vanishes so quickly. Seeing the human's face, the Beast Queen Fong starts laughing at him, which just makes him angrier and eager to fight again. With gritted teeth, the protagonist was ready to spin the wheel and decide Lean's fate. After a few spins, the roulette lands on Best Slayer style, boosting damage and defense by 50% while hitting weak points for extra power, and with a threatening glare the hero springs into action, running toward his enemy, who seems pleased that she wasn't fleeing so quickly. That tiny body couldn't stand a chance against the mighty Beast Queen Fong. With fists tight, the hero charges in to strike, but then Lean gets a sudden, painful hit right in her stomach. Even with that, she feels ready and content about the fight coming up. Wang Yang-su thrusts a hand forward and smashes the opponent's face. Even with her powerful blows, the Beast Queen Fong can't stop the protagonist from leaping forward like a storm of punches, determined to keep fighting until her defenses break. With no way to fight back, she just takes the hit, looking smaller and weaker than before. Suddenly, a small explosion blasts energy across the area, raising the tension so high that the confused queen can't believe a simple player just beat her. He tells her he never meant to hurt such a beautiful woman, because his anger was only for Alice. Hearing those words makes Lean seethe with anger, since she knows she is far more than just a pretty face. So she snatches the weapon from her opponent and hauls him on her back with all her might. Lean hated being underestimated and was far more than just a pretty face, proving herself as a fierce orc warrior. In that very moment, the hero scrambled to get his bearings, fearing he was about to face a legendary beast. Soon, his thoughts are cut short when the fighter traps his neck between her legs and squeezes. Suddenly, a new explosion tears through the scene with shocking force, leaving chaos in its wake. Wangu feels his strength fading as he realizes he can't breathe right. Please lean down and squeeze his neck tighter and tighter between her legs. In that instant, she looked ready to wear him down until he was nothing but an empty shell. She thought her pretty face made the pervert excited by her words. But the hero held his ground and sank his teeth into the warrior. As the pain raced through her body, she knew she had no choice but to let him go. As he rose, he broke free and got ready for the next round. Lady Lean couldn't fathom why nobody would dare challenge her. To top it all off, he managed to nip her tail without worrying about the trouble it might cause. Though Wang Yinggu felt the heat of arousal, he said his only aim was to kill that opponent. Whether he was a man or a woman, all he saw in his eyes was an enemy who had to be taken out. Now the warrior grew to like the talk and knew the boy's name, and as she ran to attack, she said he was a worthy mark to never forget. As the hero closed in, he unleashed his words against Lean, and right then, the two forces crashed together. With punches and hits coming from everywhere, a fresh explosion erupted in anger, hurling rocks and flames high into the sky. With a deep, manly laugh, Lean stood tall and imposing while Wang Yang-su lay resting in the middle of the crater. The demonic warrior laughed at his enemy, showing no fear and full power. As she sank to her knees in defeat, Queen Lin could not hide the pride she had held until the very last second. Wang Yangsu slayed the legendary beast, earning the title Beyond the Legend and a 1% boost to every single stat. After the dark falls and the warrior makes it back to the camp, the story continues. Even though he's shaking and hurt, his main worry is making sure everyone is okay. Before he could even mention the legendary monster, he faints and gets caught by the girl. She looks so desperate that she can't make sense of what just happened to the contractor. He holds his face in his hands and starts weeping as he tells her that Alice gave her life in the fight to save them all. The woman tries to heal his burning anger and heavy sadness with every word she says. Confused, the girl beside her felt nothing, but since hers was a stronger bond, the contract time would shift. For now, fixing Alice was impossible while the protagonist pieced together her shattered magical puppet, which had lost most of its body in the explosion. Now the best thing to do was to walk the folks to the shelter, where the long line of people they saw ahead meant they could finally stop and rest. But the crowd outside was so large and noisy that the guards were confused, especially since people had been waiting so long they were getting angry, until suddenly a huge figure burst through the door to ask who was causing all the fuss. He also warned everyone, from little kids to old grandparents, that they would be killed if they didn't follow his orders. The bad guys held guns to a scared girl who was clutching her stuffed animal. The hero cut in, calling it crazy to hold a deadly weapon up to a child. Seeing his fancy clothes made can look very interested in him. She tiptoed up to the hero and whispered that players could rush into the city right now. Confused by the special treatment, he didn't understand what was happening, but the woman knew he was clearly unaware of the rules. Suddenly, screams rang out through the whole place, telling everyone that a huge monster had arrived. The two watched as the terrifying level 50 dragon Hailkir, an elite flame-wielding monster from the land of dreams, prepared to strike. Wang Yinggu begged the villagers to flee instantly so he could fix his mess, but he knew the boy was weak and had no right to interfere, all while the giant monster Jupiter 1 rose up on the other side. This powerful weapon, forged by many players together to kill monsters that bullets couldn't hurt, locked its sights on a medium-threat dragon. Wang Yangsu stood frozen in fear at the scene before him. Xiam told us that only players could do this. Asuka, the pilot of Jupiter 1, stepped up to the cockpit with everything she had to prove she could do. She was ready to take down the scary monster with a single strong strike. Once she pressed the button and the giant started moving, she quickly saw that wasn't such a smart move. To get back at them, the dragon shot a huge fireball at the enemy, while the embarrassed woman joked that the pilot had never faced real battle before. Without wasting a single second, the mighty fire raced straight toward Jupiter 1. As soon as they crashed together, the giant stumbled and lost his footing. After getting hit, the damage rose to 20%, and Asuka started worrying about her big debut. Kessia soon saw that Jupiter 1 wasn't enough on its own and realized she'd need more players to help. Just as she tells him to hide somewhere safe, she notices he's already vanished. As someone slowly pries the cabin door open, Wang Yangsu steps in to help while Asuka wonders who that stranger might be. He ignores everything else and just tells the pilot to listen if she wants to win. He was certain the next move would be a hard headbutt, and without wasting a second, the level 50 dragon moved toward the giant just like that. Asuka is so stunned by the attack that she stumbles forward and lands right on top of the protagonist's face. From then on, she listened to every word he said, ready to do exactly what he told her. So the two would join forces to take down the beast. The dragon always ends its fight by breathing a fireball. They need to stop the charging fireball before it fully forms. By following his advice, the pilot managed to smash the giant's head with one of its own huge hands. When the opponent is dazed, hit them with the spiral photon destroyer. Soon after, Jupiter 1 begins to spin around like a violent whirlwind. Before Hailkir can react, he is yanked into that massive, twisting spiral. With a huge grin, Asuka thought the fight was done and cheered for their win, while the experienced Wang Yangsu knew better and waited for the system to confirm the dragon was truly gone. Soon after, it zipped back through the sky with its huge wings spread wide. Then, the level 50 dragon went wild and got ready to strike again. Asuka wasn't sure if Jupiter 1 could take the final blow, the Hellfire Torment. But the hero was already racing for the door, knowing he had to act fast. Wang Su stands atop Jupiter 1 with power roaring through him, grips his sword tight, and uses the Tinhong God's lair to bounce the incoming fireball right back at it. The flame slammed into the shield and bounced back at the dragon head-on, letting Wang Yinggu land a deep blow on Hail Teaser to earn a crystal and a dragon egg, while Tia grew irritated to find that another player had already stolen the kill before the rest of them arrived. Climbing down from the huge Jupiter 1, the protagonist speaks up and asks the men what they want. One of them points a weapon at the hero and demands he hand over all his gear and supplies. Confused by their bold claim that they weren't stealing kills, but bravely protecting everyone, he couldn't believe those players would dare try to rob him. Seeing a beautiful girl beside him, one of them falls in love and offers to drop the fight if she joins them. But the protagonist instantly shatters the weapon into pieces, screaming that no one should ever point a deadly tool at his wife, knowing that in this game, even the toughest weapons can be destroyed. With fierce determination, Wing Yang Su hugs his wife to keep her safe, vowing that next time he will aim straight for her attacker's skull. Watching that weak guy act tough, the men got ready to start a fight. Just as the fight was about to start, Jupiter one steps in to stop it. From deep inside the giant, Asuka shouts that she will crush anyone who makes even the slightest sound. Piedon pleads for everyone to stay calm and stop making new enemies. With determination, the woman promised that the guild would soon make up for their losses. As the men turned their backs and walked away, they promised to never forget the protagonist's name. She turns to the hero, greets Wang Yang Su warmly, and invites him to see the city built by the Royal Union. Not sure if they could trust those people, they decided to keep their eyes open. As they walked, the hero stared in awe at the tents spread out all around. But that's only the outer part where normal folks lived, not the chosen players. As they walked a little further, the gates swung wide, and they stepped into the city that never sleeps. Light bounced off the walls as people walked down the hallway from every side. Further on, a vendor sold things like cucumber potions, Dragon Slayer gear, and fancy clothes for the game characters, and Kaxia Kain told him that since over 1,000 players were in the city, he could spend all the money he wanted. Staring at the window packed with clothes, he looked so enchanted that he asked his wife to try some on. She looked annoyed and refused to ever wear clothes like that again. Wan Yinggu hid the girl's true strength as a Valkyrie just to keep everyone out of trouble. Once he agreed to the proposal, the hero had to pick an outfit for his wife to wear in public. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling out, but then silence falls over the room as the embarrassed girl finishes changing and waits for her contractor's opinion. He tries to move closer to her in love, but she pushes him away, only for them to suddenly slip and tumble together, leaving their faces inches apart in an awkward moment. Lying on the ground, they share a silent look before the girl urges the contractor to rise and scan their surroundings. Feeling ashamed, he slowly stands up, hoping his wife won't be angry with him. As the two walked hand in hand, and the protagonist shouted for Mammon and Chiyo, they immediately spotted that Jag Sufu's outfit had been selected by the master. He shifted the conversation to ask if the girls picked up anything. They discovered many skill trees for spells, but they didn't have enough coins to buy any. Suddenly, a girl sprints toward her master. With eyes shining with excitement, she asks for a portable barbecue set, so she can cook meals that will make the master stronger. He laughs with real joy and sees that she wants to go shopping too. Wang Yang Su felt the weight of their poverty and knew they had to sell their supplies to get more cash. Xian steps up to the man lost in his own thoughts and shares that she knows what it feels like to want something so badly but can't afford it. So she suggests that trading with the Royal Union after slaying monsters is the best way to earn money in the city. Holding his arm, the woman whispers that they need to move somewhere quieter before they can talk. The room was sealed with magic, so no sound could escape, making it the perfect quiet spot to talk about serious business. Holding the dragon crystal, the hero seems ready to give it away, believing it to be a truly valuable treasure. Kain crosses her legs and tells us that dragon crystals are perfect for the Royal Union to use completely. She smiles and offers him a 5 million in-game price deal that makes him a VIP with future discounts. But the hero wasn't happy because he knew that treasure was worth at least 50 million. The two stay quiet, sizing each other up. As arguments erupt in the room, Gaxi Kain sees the other person's greed and decides she might walk away from a deal. But the young man knows exactly what his stuff is worth. She slips off her jacket and offers 10 million for the crystal, daring him to react. Even though he stutters and turns deep red with embarrassment, the hero still asks for 45 million. But the woman was ready to drop the price even more, so she took off her shoes. With grit in her teeth, she makes one last bid for $15 million and nothing more. Wang Yangshu looks set to take even more, insisting he wants 43 million. Soon after, the woman finds herself wearing just her underwear. Realizing the tough negotiation, she decides to pay 40 million for the dragon crystal, knowing the union still earns a fee from every deal, while the stunned warrior just watches it all unfold. Wang Yangshu still had other treasures to offer, like his gold tooth and those fancy high heels, and the woman looked pretty interested. A black envelope was passed right to the protagonist. From that day forward, he felt like a wealthy man, and soon he was even invited to join an auction selling strange items like NPC slaves. Shocked, The protagonist refuses to let himself sink so low that he joins in that. But Kain pushes him to go to the auction, where they'll see huge robots like Jupiter 1. As soon as Wang Yang-su heard those words, his heart jumped with excitement to grab one of those androids. Inside the quiet auction house, the protagonist and his wife waited in silence for the bidding to start. The host kicks off the Royal Union's auction. The very first thing up for sale was a group of level 15 elf slaves. She reaches out with one hand and starts to pull back the curtain hiding the mysterious box. With their hands and necks chained, the dark forest elves are dragged to a dark auction where men in the crowd fall instantly in love and start shouting out prices higher and higher until the sum reaches 300,000. The two elves were so furious they begged to be killed instantly, especially since their numbers had already hit 3 million and kept climbing fast. Wang Yang-su is shocked to find everyone around him twisted, so his wife asks if the contractor buys slaves, and he says no. In the end, the host declares that the elven slaves were sold to a VIP client for 3 million. The stage lights up with swirling flames to show what's up for bid next. Sitting in the crowd, the players feel a wave of burning heat spreading everywhere as the Purgatory Sword, a powerful weapon, strikes with a burn effect that deals fire damage every time it hits. Jigsaw asks the contractor what he thought about that new item. After a quick thought, he decides the weapon is just trash. His Tianhong God Slayer could blow up any S-class weapon, and he knew the flashy fire effects were just there to look good. His wife noticed that he had used his special powers to see beyond what normal people could, and during the auction, other items were sold for shockingly high prices. The presenter saved the very best thing for the very end. The skill book bundle held every kind of spell, and the bidding started at a hefty 100,000. Even after the announcement, many players ignored the useless books while she waited for bidding to start until suddenly, a distant voice offered 300,000. Wang Yang-su didn't even pause before buying the whole book collection. The hero had his own plan for the item no one cared about, where once studying skill books in a game traded experience for safety, now reading too many in real life meant dying instantly. Jag Sufu looked puzzled, but the hero explained that he was no ordinary player. The coordinates of Insect Island had already been recorded,